Hello, everyone. Are you ready for some soul level guidance about abundance? In this video, I'm going to offer you some guidance from the Akashic Records. And just if you are completely new to my channel or to me, I'm Anika Ray. I'm an Akashic Records professional, consultant, reader, and teacher. I've been working in the records and reading them since 2012, and I really am in love with this work. I'm very passionate about it. If you are completely new to the Akashic Records, they are this giant library of the soul. They contain the entire history and journey of each soul, but most importantly, they are about spiritual guidance and healing, and that's what they really offer us. So in this video, as we are really starting this new year, and whenever you find this guidance, just know that it's meant for you. We're really going to focus on the abundance. Now, abundance can mean many little like nuances and things. In the New Age is really referring mostly to that state of being, state of consciousness. And that's how we are really going to address it, as this remembrance of the soul and how abundance really translates through the soul lens and the Akashic lens. And I'm going to give you a general message and guidance, and then we're going to dive into some questions, because the best way to work in the records is through asking some important questions. Now, this is general guidance. Just take what resonates, leave the rest. And, why don't we just start? I'm already full transparency in my own Akashic Records. And because we are connected in consciousness, that is the best way for me to deliver this general guidance to you. Don't worry, it's still going to, affect you in a way on a soul level, hopefully in a positive way. And so generally what I'm right away perceiving from the Akashic Records around abundance is that abundance as this concept for humanity is very difficult to grasp, because it is so grounded in the material, in the material manifestations of things. So they don't want you to think you're not abundant because it doesn't translate for you in the material things. And I know you know this, but for some of you really need to hear this. The abundance from the perspective, of the soul is that on a soul level, you are abundant, because this is the quality of the soul and also the quality of the divine that is a part of who we are as an essence, as energy, as consciousness. But that in each lifetime, you take this concept of abundance and you play it out in a human sense to show you, first of all, what you're capable of. And secondly, a lot of times it is more about the freedom of where do you see your limitations, and also how abundance can serve you in a material world. And just to give you examples, they're bringing that back to some lifetimes when you are extremely wealthy. And what do you learn from that? How does that affect you? Because in some lifetimes, you're wealthy and you're great and you're okay, you're having a good old time. But in some lifetimes, this abundance takes a long time for you to, accumulate through material wealth. It takes a lot more for you to actually, you need to see it more in a material external world to feel abundant. And in some lifetimes, you're okay living on top of the mountain with 3 goats, that is, that concept of abundance is really being played out in a 3D matrix or reality, so that you can finally recognize that no matter what, there is this abundance within you, That abundance is a state of consciousness, is a state of being, and it's highly subjective. And that's what it's shown to you, or the soul yourself wants to play it out so that you come to that conclusion, That no matter what, there's abundance within you. And that concept and conceptually, you need to see it in different versions in different lifetimes. Sometimes very little is very okay and you're completely content. And sometimes it is that even if you have a lot, it's not enough, right? You are playing that lack and, sort of like this concept of abundance where you really need to see it manifested for you to feel it. The key word here is feeling it, because abundance in the reflection in a human sense, from the perspective of consciousness, right? We have it, we are abundant. From the perspective of the soul, yes, abundance is a part of us. It is a divine quality. From the perspective of humanness, it's subjective and you need to feel it. And in each lifetime, you're given that chance to feel it. Sometimes it's enough for you to feel it internally and you're happy with what you have and how it's manifested for you. And sometimes you show that lack, and that is, again, a lessons to learn. So take it as this constant playing out for you to, right, grow and learn lessons. Now we're going to jump into questions. Hopefully this was helpful and not super confusing. Listen to it again, right? Like if you can take away some key points from that, that's okay. If not, we are going to jump into the questions. Question number 1 is, what am I already abundant? Where am I already abundant without acknowledging it? Now we just talk about that feeling of the abundance, so that's where it is. And for different people, it's going to be different things. But they want you to know that where you already feel abundant, it's going to really reflect in the way that you talk about this thing, right? Like you talk about it and you feel sort of like really happy about it, right? Like for example, let's say you feel and it's going to be this reflection of gratitude, like health, like you feel really abundant because your health is really in a great place. Like you have plenty of it. And that's that human reaction, right? I feel abundant because I'm grateful for the health. I have a lot of it. A lot of times it is about, and perhaps that's what they're saying, just to be clear, is finding gratitude, right? Starting from gratitude and really honoring what you have already is where you're not acknowledging it. Right? So let's just make it very clear. So that would be the right answer. Sorry for getting you like all going around. I was trying to really channel the answer the best possible way. So it is acknowledging, right, that gratitude for things that you already have. And if you're not acknowledging it, that's where you can start. And as you open up to gratitude for what you already have, and it's not about being grateful in an artificial way, it's being grateful, right, most of the time, it opens your heart to receive even more, which is what we're going to get in other questions. So that's where you start. You start with gratitude, where you are already, right, where you need to acknowledge it without you actually being fully acknowledging it. Second question is, what alignment is required for abundance to flow with more ease and grace for me, right? What alignment? We're talking about alignment because that is important on a spiritual level. And again, really, they're bringing me back again to this gratitude that opens you up to receiving more. But it's more that like inner alignment and awareness to really wanting to receive more. And is that receiving more really supporting your soul's purposes? Because sometimes we want to receive more, but it's not necessarily like supporting our soul's purposes. Like in that particular time, perhaps we need to experience some lack or limitation when it comes to abundance, so that or challenges, they're calling it, so that we can be consciously opening ourselves up to abundance. Remember, I said this feeling of abundance is driving it, but in inner alignment, it's going to come from the place of I am ready to receive. And this is actually helping me on a spiritual level. And I know a lot of us don't really, come to that conclusion unless we're highly spiritual. Now, we're not talking about just abundance of material things. Just so that we are clear, we are talking about abundance of different things. Time, energy, like whatever it is that are resources on the planet, we're speaking of that abundance. So what alignment is you being basically ready to receive, also the capacity to receive, right? Do I have this capacity? Is this supportive to me right now? If I, for example, money, if I received right now $1 million, would I have the capacity to manage this money? Would I have the capacity to really receive it? Do I feel scared around it? That's the capacity again. And readiness, right? Capacity and readiness. So, and service is the final part. Is this money going to actually support my soul's purposes of pursuing, for example, being a spiritual teacher? Do I feel comfortable, which is why a lot of us have this like resistance to abundance? Am I comfortable being a spiritual teacher with having 7-figure income, without feeling really that I don't have that capacity, or feeling some feelings of, right, shame and guilt and resistance? So start with the alignment of, am I ready? Does this serve my purposes? If you already know your purpose is great. If you don't, work a little bit around that. And do I have capacity to really receive this abundance, whatever it is, time, money, any resource? Number 3, this is kind of segueing into the blocks, right? What energetic blocks are no longer serving my highest good when it comes to abundance? The first thing I'm receiving is any limitations. So sometimes these energetic blocks are going to be represented by, they're saying, feelings. Sometimes they're going to be thoughts, and sometimes they're going to lead into deep core things. But the most important thing is these blocks, and we're going to talk about little patterns afterward. Oh guys, my camera is actually cut off for a minute, but we were at the question number 3, which is what energetic blocks are no longer serving my highest good when it comes to abundance. And I just want to bring us back talking about, right, energy blocks. Again, not to repeat myself, where like they can be thoughts, beliefs, patterns, anything. And in its inception, they can be inner or outer blocks. So something that shows up in your reality that's there, and something that's an inner block, right, that you need to do some inner work around. Either way, I just want to stress out that what's coming from the records is these blocks you have put there yourself as a soul, right? In each lifetime, and sometimes consciously, sometimes, right, subconsciously on a human level, we're aware of them. Obviously, when it comes to these blocks, the first thing you want to really acknowledge as to what's playing out for you in the human reality, right? Like what's really going on that you consider blocks, right? Is it like that you're feeling, right, you're not receiving something? What is the story behind this block, so that you can really get to what is the energy behind it? So they're not going to give you specific blocks because this is a general consensus, so that not to confuse you. Some of it I do want to mention when it comes to the inner blocks could be about unworthiness, and this is directly tied to childhood. It could also be a story specifically around abundance that is coming from past lives and childhood that has a lot to do with deserving and also hard work, or you needing to prove yourself in order to receive. So those are the kind of like the energetic blocks that are generally for this group watching it. But just so you know, right, identify the story around this block first as a human story, like what is it, name a theme, and then you can explore further with your guides or in the Akashic Records, which brings us to question number 4, what patterns and beliefs, we just kind of touched on that, are affecting my flow of abundance. And right at the top of the mountain, it will be like if there was a mountain of patterns, right, it would be this block that is really, I am not worthy, deserving, or a part of it. Like, this is not for me. This is what the pattern is. It's really tying a lot to past lives, even childhood, but a lot for this particular soul group, which we are a soul group. It has a lot to do, again, proving your worth. And this is something that you had to do through different lifetimes. And a lot of times it's reflected, or somebody has told you, you don't deserve, even for some people, you're not noble enough. You're not good enough, right? In some lifetimes you've heard of that. You're not pretty enough to deserve whatever it is that other people deserve. And you looked around in these lifetimes and in some of these past lives, and you came to that conclusion that I must not be good enough, pretty enough, smart enough to deserve this abundance. Like, my place is not there. For some of you, strictly comes from that nobility, like you were not. Also, you have played the same roles for other people, limiting their abundance. I know it's not an easy thing to hear, but I'm in that group, so I gotta tell you. So what pattern is really understanding that unworthiness or worthiness, again, it's not sourced from the fact that, first of all, that we're all worthy, but to come to that conclusion, what the records are saying is it takes discipline and understanding and awareness and acceptance of self, that no matter who you are, what you are, where the circumstances are, that there is abundance and you are abundant yourself, because on a soul level, as we mentioned in the general messages, there is abundance, right? It's a quality of the divine that exists or permeates within you. So how you can address this, it's really, the records are really kind of very precise here to take steps, and each person will heal these patterns in their own time and space. So giving yourself enough time and space to do this, honoring the boundaries that you've already put when it comes to these patterns. Some of these patterns are still supporting you. And unfortunately, this is a harsh reality to swallow. If something is still supporting you or people in your group, right? Like, just example with money again. Again, with this overwhelming, like, I had to realize that for myself, right? I have this pattern where I am okay with receiving like money consistently, but when it comes to like a huge amount of money and overnight kind of thing, it triggers other things around worthiness and fears from past lives, from childhood, undeserving, lack, right? Like, I'm working through this. So it's easier for me to receive money in increments and consistently, where I feel that consistency, stability, where I feel trusting the money, opposed to overnight. So think of that these patterns for you could be rooted in something like that, and it's going to take a little bit of time for you to play it out. And it doesn't matter how far you go with this. It just matters that you heal it in a way that supports you. And it's going to reflect in your reality as you do. And it's going to bring the relationship with these resources that represent abundance in the forefront for you. For me, money, right? Like, that's a lesson for me. And resources I'm working through from the perspective of abundance. Number 5, what does my soul need to surrender in order to receive more? Now, just so I can let you know, the reason why I included the word soul here is because, again, soul is divine. It's a part of us that is divine in nature, that knows its divine nature. So soul is all well and fine. It's really what's around that consciousness and energy. And that's what we come into, and we pick a person ourselves for each lifetime, and we play out these lessons, goals, commitments, responsibilities. We see what works, what doesn't, for the purposes of growth. So part of it here is what's coming from the records is what is ready on a human level to be released and healed. It's what is good for the soul, because ultimately it brings you closer to the soul and your divinity and your innermost self. When I say divinity, I don't mean it in a some sort of spiritual egoic way, but I mean like who we truly are as part of oneness and God, divine universe, right? So whatever is ready, do not push it, do not force it. Again, as I mentioned in a previous answer, it's going to bring you into the space. It's going to show through the resources. It's going to manifest through the resources that you're sort of like have some lessons to work out through when it comes to abundance. So it's more about acceptance and awareness in a healing process opposed to surrendering. All right, so we're going to move on to the next question. The question number 6, which I think is going to lead us to the last question, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, the paper is shuffling because it is about practices. What practice will help me get abundance, really like expand my abundance, right? Anchor it. What practice, spiritual practice, will help me anchor in abundance? Well, one of the things that is coming through the records is it's not so much about practice as it is about you sort of feeling, again, all of the things that we kind of talked about, that you have a process of manifestation. So you can really anchor this by being more spiritually, first of all, like aware, accept where you are, but also have this manifesting process for yourself. For some of you, it'll be more about opening your heart chakra. That's an excellent practice to receive. And it'll be for you this practice, manifestation practice of giving and receiving, of the flow of energy. For some of you, it'll be like particular steps that you're taking in your own everyday life. So in other words, you're going to have some goals and visions, maybe vision boards. You're going to focus on things that are relevant for you to manifest when it comes to abundance. Certainly the records recommend both, right? Energetic, human thing with the vision boards, right? The manifesting, aligning your thoughts to the process. And for some of you, it'll be really about drawing this energy and sort of like manifesting it into your field. And I want to see what this actually means, because they're showing me an image of you drawing as you're healing all the patterns and beliefs, you're drawing more of that energy and resources into your field, and you're pulling that in, and then you're allowing it to manifest through your heart. It's sort of like this specific like quantum way of pulling the 5-dimensional reality into your 3D. And it really is about shifting things very quickly. So for, selected few going through that, because you do need this sort of like quantum, like 5D experience. And it's not about money only. Think of the abundance as many different things like time, sort of like any other resources. They're even saying like people, like friends, places, things. And it's not really about accumulating things as much as it is about experiencing abundance in a way that you feel connected to the divine and this quality. I hope that this was helpful to you. Sorry about all of those cutting off the camera, but I know it does happen, and I just want to be fully authentic and in the flow, in the records with you. Take whatever resonates, right? Take a deep breath. See if any of these messages, any guidance resonates with you. If you're feeling the pull towards the Akashic Records, it's not a mistake. You're here for a reason. This is a soul calling, of course. And I want to invite you to explore it. And if you want to explore it with me, I would love that. I will leave all the links in the description for my classes, my webinar. I also have these certifications, which are the best way to really learn how to read the records for yourself or others for non-humans. There's practitioner certifications that I suggest for you to start with. All of that will be in the description. And if you really love this content, help me make more. Like this video, subscribe, share it with those spiritual seekers that you think can really benefit from it. I wish you all the abundance of the world and for you to really embrace what this divine quality is for you. Love and light to all. I will see you in the next video.